pour this round, Will, and we'll get started. So what are you thinking about this wine off the bat?
I've determined it's red, so...
Yeah. Will, what are you thinking about this wine?
This one's definitely the hardest of the three, that's for sure.
Okay.
It's not speaking immediately like the first two with manipulation and climate. Though, just initial nose, I'm going to Old World because of that.
I'm not 100% sure that this is Old World. Or if it's Old World, then it's from a really warm area in the Old World. I'm getting quite a lot of alcoholic heat as I'm sitting here. It's giving me that sort of vaporizing effect on my tongue. So if I were in the Old World, I'd be in Spain. But it could also be from the New World.
Okay.
In a slightly more Old World style. How's that for hedging my bets?
I like that. Steve, I saw you agreeing a little bit.
As I said earlier before, it's a modern styled Old World wine. So this is not a traditional, this is not something that jumps out of the glass to me and I say, oh, that's from Burgundy or Bordeaux or somewhere like this. It's not made in that style. It is a very tough wine to try and determine where it's from.
Well, look at the color. It's starting to turn a little bit garnet red.
It's a bit older. Yeah,
So it's either an older wine or a grape that gives that sort of color even at a relatively young age.
It doesn't have the meaty pepperiness that you'd find in the Rhone. It doesn't have the cedar wood or sour cherry you'd find in Tuscany. Spain, I'd be hard pressed. I don't see any American wood. I'm looking at one of the more obscure regions, perhaps Campania. There's a variety there called Aglianico, which comes to mind. If you go to Calabria, they have really cool grapes called Gagliopo and Magliopo, and they have this similar kind of, of course they do, right?
You're just making up words now, Will.
Yeah,
I know.
absolutely, bibbidi bobbidi.
They go great with burnt goat.
I know it's a tricky wine,
Very.
but I think we're sort of getting there. So why don't you start us off in the guessing and tell us what you think?
I am going to go to Italy. I am going to go to the south of Italy. And this is just based on deduction of what it cannot be. I would go with Campania, and Aglianico is the grape variety. 2007 vintage. Price, they tend to be a little bit less expensive in this area, so about $18.
Okay. So Steve, what do you think?
I'm liking the European idea. I can't find anywhere in the Old World in the New World where I think this wine might come from. I don't think it's French. I don't think it's Spanish, so therefore it's probably Italian. It's got a lot of raisiny fruit in there, which means it could be from somewhere in the Veneto where they're using dried grapes to create raisiny fruit. So I'm going to go for the Veneto. So I'm going to say it's a red Corvina from Veneto. It's got a bit of age to it. It's got some tannins to it, so it's 2009. And it's $20.
Okay.
I'm going to be in Italy. I'm going to be in the south of Italy. I'm going to go to Sicily.
Okay.
And there's a grape variety there called Nero d'Avola that this reminds me a fair bit of. A pretty savory wine. I'd love to have this with a nice big bowl of pasta puttanesca or a pizza and red sauce. And I think it is somewhere around 18 bucks as well. I think that's pretty fair. So I'll say $17.95.
Okay.
Vintage. 2009.
Okay. Okay.
No
Wow.
way.
So
We were close.
In fact, we went nowhere.
yeah,
Unbelievable.
bit of a surprise. Will, do you want to explain what we have here and
Well,
why it's so off? From what you
Martini
guys
is
thought?
an Italian name, is it
Yes,
not?
that's
So
right. Yeah.
we're
So it's a
Good
Cab
save.
Sauv from Sonoma.
Sonoma Cabernet Sauvignon. So with Sonoma County Cab, I mean, this is definitely a traditional example if I was to describe that at all. They tend to be a bit more tempered, a bit more leathery, not quite as fruit core driven as Napa. It did not have that massive fruit forward nature.
It's a Californian wine made in the European style. And it's, well, we got it wrong. As simple as that.
Yeah.
Way wrong.
So Will, not very close, but you finished that round with 2 points.
Ooh.
Not great, but you did well in the other
Damn
two
close
rounds.
on the price. I thought I did
Yeah.
superbly well there.
And Steve and John, you both have 4 points.
Oh my God, what for?
How'd that happen? Good times.
Everything's gonna be fine. Me, myself, and wine. Ooh, me, myself, and wine.